Welcome to the Alive Loren Podcast and the place of celebrating juicy, soulful, whole living and a move towards surrendering preference and really loving and appreciating what is and showing up to life with a hell of a lot more awe and humility. Wow, okay, that was an abrupt end to the opening track. I have a few random shares, just some things like little ahas. So the one was how when you know, like something can be so simple when you know and so difficult when you don't. So I know it sounds like so obvious. It's just like how knowing sometimes just changes everything and somehow connecting with somebody who already knows. So just a few things that happened. Like I'm really not on Facebook often. And a while ago, for some reason, like something caught my eye of this group of because I'd said to a friend, both of us are more kind of plant-based eaters, and to look for some nice recommendations in Tel Aviv for some really nice vegan restaurants, because we've been referred to one, but we both thought there must be more. And then I did at one point join this vegan group, and randomly someone posted where I'm hardly on, but someone said, just when you ask the people in the know what a difference it makes. They said I'd really like to go out to celebrate a birthday or something, and I am vegan, and I'd like to go somewhere that's really special, and the environment's nice, and there's really attention to detail with the service and the plating and the whole thing. And then a whole bunch of people replied with recommendations, and sometimes you'd see the same recommendation coming through a few times. So literally there were a whole lot, 5 restaurants that I got in one foul swoop from people that were very passionate about recommending. And how just when you're connected to the right people, or just people who know, and just finding that how simple things can be and how much more challenging they can be on the other end. So also, because fresh young coconuts, if you've ever experienced they're quite a thing to open. But the thing is, once you know, they're actually so simple to open. And it's actually really quite magical how there are certain of these weak points. They really are my favorite fruit. I just think they're incredible. They're just full and brimming with the most amazing liquid that's kept. Oh my God, this really is an amazing, amazing place that we are gifted, this wonderland of so much produce, such diversity of produce that just suited to us, that we can just take advantage of and so enjoy, and that it has flavor and smell and texture. And gosh, I mean, food could just be one monotone substance with zero texture, zero smell. It's just really, even just to contemplate that alone is wow. So yeah, just what really struck me with that, how simple something is when someone shows you. And just that mentoring and how interconnectedness and just being and sort of helping one another and the value of community. And then the other insight was around, I know I'd mentioned in a previous podcast about when I had a thing at work, and one of the people, logically, I just wasn't getting his point. But it was just because he was more emotionally upset. So just because I wasn't listening, even if I didn't agree, it was just to actually just listen to try get his point of view, we kept going in the circle. But I kept saying something from a logical point of view, and he was just still emotionally kind of letting off steam. And it was more this pressure cooker of the more I didn't listen, the more it was the steam just begging to have the release valve done. And then I had a personal experience of this where there was a mix-up with meeting my friend at a certain place. And it was so funny because when we realized it, I just kept insisting on my reason for why I'd gotten the place wrong. And then every time she replied, she didn't reply, she didn't acknowledge what I was saying. And then I realized this afterwards, we land up going in the circle as well, because the more she didn't I just wanted her to hear me and just validate, even if it was wrong. It was just so incredible to personally be then on the other side and witness, because in the moment, I wasn't picking it up, but after a while, I picked it up, even just for me to do it for myself. But yeah, so I thought that was really profound. And then also just inspired very much. Oh, before the inspiration, the other day also I did on Parker Clay, and then talking about like the use of the leathers. So, and then kind of like reconciling whether I would buy like a leather product. So I listened to a podcast with the husband, and also he was talking about how things are different in different countries. And like in Ethiopia, like this, it's just large sort of, I guess, like more rural and more just different. Places are different, so many different ways to live that often like cows, like livestock are just part of a person's home and household. And whether they're actually part of like work that they do on the farm or whatever it is, like they're part of the home. And then at some point, like that, if that animal dies, you know, then that leather, what are you going to do? Like chuck it away? Like, yeah, so it's just was very interesting that they really try to source and connect with the local community and really make sure that the leather that they're sourcing, like I know obviously it's not every single one is going to be that. Some of them are going to be animals that have been farmed, you know, possibly for their meat, but it's more that there is a level of consciousness to it, and just that things are different in different parts of the world, and it's not so linear. And just, yeah, so, and then the last little tidbit for today is such a beautiful inspiration. So I know I often talk about Mickey Singer, TOU, Temple of the Universe.org. And yeah, something that really struck me today. So he was talking about, you know, like we all have tendencies to worry about everything that could go wrong. And throughout, there's always this constant state of like worry, like on some level of imagining like all the stuff that could go wrong. Equally, okay, there's equal possibility for a whole lot of amazing stuff. Now, the thing is that most of the things that happen never actually transpire. And there's a line in one of my favorite movies about time where it says something like that the real things that really get you they never would have crossed your worried mind. And it just is that 99% of the things that we worry about like never transpire. And the thing is that life is constantly happening with good things and bad. Okay, we're getting into the good and bad, just more like things that create pleasure or pain or joy or sorrow. And they kind of balance each other out. But the thing of like, yeah, it was just interesting because he gave the example of like a kid who's got a shot coming up. And I remember also as a kid, like with going to dentist appointment for shots, like all this anxiety and tension before, and like complaining to parents about, I don't want to do this, and why must you do this, and when must you go, and is it going to hurt, and how much is it going to hurt? And like all of that in the time leading up to it for like a few seconds of the actual shot, and then afterwards going on about how terrible it was and how I never want to do that again, and like you can't, and just everything that would happen afterwards. And it's not really because the actual point of pain or discomfort is really just in that moment. And the other thing just was so profound was Mickey was saying is equally, a whole lot of amazing things could happen too. But it's like, do we obsess and think about in every moment, like all the possible amazing things that could happen in the next moment, in the next day, in the next hour, in the next week? Like imagine living, because the thing is that all the stuff we worry about is not happening anyway. But it makes us feel shitty. But like if you imagine all the amazing stuff that could happen, that would reveal like the natural joy and ecstasy that's in you already, sort of like covered over by other stuff. So it's not like that on the outside is the cause of it. It's just kind of like helps to reveal it inside. So like imagine living from that place. Because the thing is that 99.9% of it isn't going to happen anyway. So either you're present to the moment, or if you're somewhere in the future thinking about something, why not think about something delicious that could possibly transpire? Because the point is, if none of it's going to happen anyway, you feel a lot better thinking about like stuff that you'd imagine would bring and reveal joy and ecstasy and bliss. Oh, I love that so much, people. So much. So, on this note, may we catch ourselves thinking, if we do catch ourselves worrying, and try flip it. flip it to imagining something delicious, and also just play with just coming back to the present, the here and now, and being okay with the yin and yang of life, being okay and appreciative of the joy and the sorrow. And just like, wow, what an opportunity, what a privilege, being okay with life in its fullness and wholeness. So happy adventuring, precious heart, until we meet again. Mwah.